Welcome to patches 1.41 and 1.42 of Eternal Return. These are smaller patches, so we've lumped them together while giving our thoughts on competitive play.
I'm your co-host Jignut, and first up we have our cosmetic items coming out in these two patches. The new token Maya skin came out along with the Lenny skin. The Maya skin is simply amazing. The Sicela emotes are pretty good as usual. The Stare emote is the best.
For 1.42, we saw the beautiful Yumin skin and stellar Chiara emotes. While it doesn't have a lot to show on the balancing side, the cosmetics are wonderful once again. Union. There will be multiple rewards based on your highest Union rank, but the main one to note is the Magnus emote gained for playing 3 games of Union.
Chapel and Pawn final zones were moved to not be as oppressive for characters in tight corridors, which is a great change, and Hospital TP was moved to be closer to the middle of the zone.
Nadine saw 2 massive buffs. One to her Q's base damage, helping out both bow and crossbow, but crossbow got a massive 0.3 per level AP buff, making Nadine a standout ADC this patch.
Bernie's got what looks like a small buff, but is pretty meaningful as his stats have shot up drastically, making him very strong this patch.
Justina, this character saw a lot of her strength taken away over the last couple of patches, and now her consistency and also most unfair part of her kit, getting MS while being down energy, is being taken away. Overall, a good change, but one that will hurt her for the next couple of patches and maybe in the future. I hope that they can still give Justina something in her energy down mode, maybe something like attack speed.
Eva got some nice early and mid game buffs while maintaining her very powerful late game, and the character is performing amazingly now, reaching number 2 in win rate and getting her way into that late game much easier.
0.2 range can mean a lot, or nothing, depending on the user's range. Beforehand, in this case, Tsubame was at 4.8, and going up to 5.0 means a ton for multiple of Tsubame's worst matchups, making them feel more fair and allowing for Tsubame to take more duels before getting hit first. This is overall just a massive buff to the character I was not expecting.
The Hisui Q buff helps very slightly on cycling Qs, but more meaningfully, her ult will be available more often since she doesn't really build CDR.
Parachute lost crit chance and CDR for attack speed and a little bit of AP. Still a worthless item for most Axe users, and now less item diversity.
Crystal Tiara got some nice changes, having its AP lowered but now receiving attack speed. The item has a good niche to fall into. Note that Fallen Pegasus upgrade does not get the attack speed change.
On to patch 1.42. We saw very few changes, with main ones being two tactical skills and 4 characters.
The first change is Protocol Violation got a small nerf after its insane usage rate in competitive settings, while still being solid in solo queue, definitely being overused too much for attack skill.
E-Shift saw a 15-second cooldown reduction at level 1, making the CD a good trade-off with the range and compared to Blank.
Theodore receives some small damage buffs, but in return has his E range nerfed. Overall, I'd say it's a nerf as he has to get a bit closer to hit his E, which puts him in some more danger.
Tia's red-yellow saw a base damage reduction, and the effect's duration got shortened. Although they didn't make the damage any lower, it's still 4 ticks of damage, it's just now the silence lasts for a little bit less time.
Luke saw a lot of changes this patch. First up, a small mastery buff, nothing huge. His W is doing a bit less damage, but he's going to be healing a decent amount more as they raised his recovery and max recovery from the skill. His E got a big hit to his damage, which had its power shifted a bit into his ult. His ult damage was increased a bit on the base and max HP. Overall, the character will do a bit less damage, but have a lot more survivability. Really targeted nerfs towards Pen Luke builds, while making Bruiser builds better.
Marcus's Q saw a small scaling buff, but the reason he's on here is the ultimate going from 75% slow to 90%, making for a much stronger and more consistent engage. Competitive saw some great tourneys played on this patch. Let's look back at the characters that shine the most in each role.
Priya saw a lot of use with Protocol and her great shields in a variety of comps, from peel to melee comps, really showing her dominance with being pick ban and ERM.
Lenny showed a great performance as a supportive disruptor, keeping enemies in check with her CC and teammates healthy with her heals. She has a more skewed team comps towards double melee comps such as Estelle, Elena, and Lenny.
Dema has been played recently in ERM and also has some presence in ERCS, working as a great entry bruiser who is typically the engage and damage dealer for melee heavy teams.
Darko saw a good amount of play just for his destructive qualities. Despite his linear playstyle, his kit's defensive stealing and ult's lockdown makes him work even in a competitive setting.
Estelle has seen a ton of play, specifically with a Lenny. In ERM, Estelle Lenny took off as a strong duo with Lenny, allowing Estelle to build hybrid tanky and amp, allowing her to be a decent damage dealer while still being tanky herself.
Alonso's kit alone makes him uninteractive if he can get in range, making him an amazing teammate and comp for forcing fights and choosing the perfect engage. Best played with Theodore, who can consistently get him into the fight, and Arda, who does the same thing.
Lennox remains the premium peel tank in competitive formats with a larger amount of play in both ERM and ERCS.
Tia's buffs got her into the competitive scene, but the nerfs were not enough to keep her out. Her bread and butter combo of yellow-blue ulti can wildly swing a fight from a small mistake.
Arda has seen enormous amounts of play, mainly being used for his unique gimmick of being able to quickly teleport allies with his RE. This has been widely used with two divers to decimate the enemy backline before they get the chance to deal damage, while bypassing the front line. Alonso has also been used with Arda recently to help him get a guaranteed CC combo on a squishy for an instant death combo from his team.
Old reliable Theodore. Yeah, he does a little bit of everything and sees constant play from some of the best players from all regions. His ability to choose his fights proactively and third-party fast makes him a viable pick for any team with a solid understanding of the map.
Human finally seeing some competitive play. His numbers are just really good right now, letting him do the range trades he excels at so much, and being an overall safe mage while outputting good damage.
Fiora, the only viable assassin, but still difficult even for competitive players. She can effectively dive, burst, and still play a decent neutral, scaling with the amount of enemies without relying on them for her damage.
Wouldn't be a competitive list without Rio now, would it? Rio has actually been seeing some less play, but still remains to be a solid pick in ERM and ERCS, being that super strong scaling ADC that works really well with the checkpoint format requiring a team to win a game.
Art's ability to burst and DPS on top of it all, with her ultimate, paired with a proper team comp, creates a devastating ADC that brings way more than just her consistent damage.
The Dean, mostly seen in ERM, specifically crossbow, is still being played. Not as much as her glory time back in Season 5, but her mobility, DPS, and safety with crossbow skill and monkey wire is keeping her in a good spot. That's it for our Season 6 patch notes. Overall a great season, I'd say, but we'll see you next week for the dev stream. I'm hyped.